Yo, what's going on, everybody? Um, Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to hop on today to make a quick Dogecoin video for you guys, right? So I'm getting a lot of messages ever since I made the Dogecoin video a couple weeks ago to try to give more continuous updates from a YouTube perspective about Dogecoin. And you guys know me, right? I really like to not focus too much on the individual altcoins themselves, but rather focus on Bitcoin and then look at the altcoins themselves, right? Because at the end of the day, all altcoins are going to be oscillators to Bitcoin, and they're going to be subjective to what Bitcoin actually does. The good news is Bitcoin is moving up, right? We are at a new all-time high. So I think it's okay at this point to definitely maybe start focusing on some potential targets to the upside for Dogecoin and other altcoins. Of course, this video will be obviously just about Doge, but yeah, I mean, I am liking some of the things that I'm seeing on Dogecoin. Okay, so let me start off by saying that, right? The reason why I made the video, I sit back and I think, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm gonna make a video here about Doge, like, what could I actually talk about that's gonna be, worth it for you and actually productive? I am seeing some things on the chart that are worth talking about, right? And obviously, again, let me preface this by saying it is extremely subjective to what Bitcoin does in the future. If Bitcoin pulls back, Dogecoin's going to pull back. If Bitcoin goes higher, Dogecoin will have the runway to go higher, right? And obviously, we want to keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance too, but we'll stick with Dogecoin for now. I'll just give you some basic analysis on what I'm seeing in the short term, the midterm, and even what you can consider to be long term, meaning maybe until the end of the year, right? Um, so again, remember this technical analysis on Dogecoin is going to be subjective to what Bitcoin does, but we'll jump right into it. So as you can see, I kind of just want to give a real zoomed out view for a second, right? And we'll kind of let's get rid of this for a second, right? Let's get rid of the fibs. Let's just turn off our EMAs and let's just take a look at my zoomed out Dogecoin chart on the logarithmic scale. So this is every Dogecoin cycle that we've been in, right? So this is the first cycle with Dogecoin. As you can see, we had a very long period of consolidation. Dogecoin breaks out, pulls back in the middle of the bull cycle, and then has one last big run to the upside. In that bull run, we did hit the 1.618 fib extension. So that was Dogecoin's first bull run. As you can see here in the second bull run, which was last cycle, Dogecoin did something very similar, right? It had this long bear market, long, then followed by a long consolidation phase, followed by a breakout, right, which was right here, then a back test, and then we started that bull run. Now, as you can see, Dogecoin temporarily topped out at the 1.618 fib extension and ended up going much higher, right? And I'll tell you what, it was really due to the Saturday Night Live hype, right? This really happened towards the end of the cycle, I should say. And Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live. If you weren't around for that, obviously we know we were around for it. Dogecoin ended up having another big leg higher. It was, we were at peak euphoria. Elon Musk tweeting, it was a big deal. There's an argument to be made that if that never happened, this could have been the top in the Dogecoin cycle, but nonetheless, we surpassed the 1.618 fib extension. So 2 cycles in a row, the 1.618 fib extension was hit on Dogecoin, right? So here we are in the third cycle. As you can see, bear market followed by super, super long consolidation phase, followed by a breakout, right? Then a back test of major support, bear market's basically the bear market range. Then we had another breakout, right? So this cycle's a little different, right? As you can see, previous cycles just boom, straight move up. And here we had, a bigger pullback and then another straight move up. But here, just basically breakout, back test, straight up. Here we've had a breakout, back test, breakout, back test. So a little different compared to previous cycles. To be honest with you, if you want my opinion, I think this structure looks significantly better than the previous bull markets. Now, that's not to say we're going to go all the way back up to this 1.618 fib. I don't really know if that's going to happen or not. But we do have evidence to suggest that it has happened 100% of the time. There's only 2 data points, though, so, that could easily not happen this time. I really wouldn't put all of your chips on that. If this was some common thing that was happening over the course of 5-6 cycles, had more data, I'd say, oh wow, this is something that seems to really happen a lot. It's probably a pretty good chance. But again, that is pretty high up. It's $3.80, $3.80 to the $4 range. be a really big move, guys. I mean, a lot of people would make a lot of money if Dogecoin went up to those prices, and I think it's possible. I don't want to say it's. I do think it's absolutely possible. The charts suggest that it's possible, but you're really going to need um, a lot of macro fundamentals to really align, and you're also going to need Bitcoin to really move up pretty high for that to happen, in my opinion. If Bitcoin goes to $200,000, and and that's happening into a Fed that's easing and QTNs, and interest rates come down, and we get a really really strong altcoin season, then yeah, it can happen. And I'll tell you what, you actually don't even really, you may not need all of that either. You know what I mean? Like, you may not need all, as long as we have a Fed that's not tightening and we don't have an inflation problem. You know what I mean? You still have a runway to really get a nice run here to the upside. So don't make it seem like it's, I think a lot of people who are starting to really get on the macro end of things, which they should have done a long time ago, are kind of just relying on the same narrative. And they're like, oh, you need Fed easing for this to happen. And a part of that is true. A lot of the evidence suggests that, you won't really get a true altcoin season unless QT ends. And I agree. I mean, I'm one of the first people who pointed that out. I could pull up the balance sheet, the Fed, and show you how in the past, we haven't seen a durable top in Bitcoin dominance in a real altcoin season until we've seen an end to QT. That's a whole nother story. But again, as you can see, 1.618 is up at that $3.80, $3.90 level. We'll keep an eye on that for future reference. But let's kind of live down to earth for now, right? Let's stay where we are. We're at 24 cents. We're nowhere near that. Let's not speculate too much. But as you can see from a structural perspective, Dogecoin is looking good, right? I really, really like this, right? And what are some of the things that I like? Well, I just love that you have this uptrending line, right? We're just trending higher, right? I mean, you can even kind of draw one here too if you want, right? You're kind of just in this really uptrending range, which is nice, right? We like this. This looks good. Higher lows, higher highs, right? That's what we want to see. If we take a look at some of our indicators here, for example, monthly stock RSI, right? It's curling back up, V-shaped to the upside. Long way to go on that, right? What you really want to see is a cross above this 20 level. If we could see a cross above this 20 level, that should provide the momentum we need to really get a durable run higher. The monthly RSI really looks good. I mean, just strength, right? Just constant strength. Look at this. It's the same as the price action, right? It just keeps making those higher lows followed by higher highs. No bearish divergence here. No anything. This looks really good, and it looks like we're about to try and get a cross above the moving average also. So, and as you can see in previous cycles, right? Look where we've topped out at, right? We've always topped out at that, 80 to 90 level. And in this cycle, it's 100 level, which was absolutely insane. But again, we haven't come close to that yet. All of these altcoins charts look like this. They just look like they haven't really had their big run yet. And I think it's coming. I really do think it's coming. I think the ETH versus Bitcoin chart is telling us a story about a potential altcoin outperformance coming. I think the Bitcoin dominance chart is starting to show some signs. We called the exact local top on Bitcoin dominance. You guys know this if you follow me on X, or if you're in the Patreon, you know that we said Bitcoin dominance was going to find a local top at the 65.45% level. It was going to see a really sharp pullback, and altcoins were going to catch a bid. I mean, that literally played out perfectly. I mean, that played out beautifully. So I'm really proud of that call. Now the question is, what I'm eyeing right now, and I don't want to veer too far off what we're talking about, but I'm eyeing this back test on Bitcoin dominance of the major 4-hour moving averages. We'll play that by ear. I don't want to go too crazy with Bitcoin dominance. It's not purely driven off technical analysis. There's other factors also, but there are some signs of weakness, I should say, starting to show up on Bitcoin dominance. So remember that, right? We'll ETH versus Bitcoin chart, ETH USD chart on the monthly time frame is looking absolutely incredible. We're seeing some big accumulation from, BlackRock and other entities, and whale accumulation on ETH. Remember, why are you talking about ETH? ETH is the big driver of altcoin season, right? When ETH starts to really get moving, the altcoins are going to start get moving, right? And Bitcoin dominance will end up topping out. So we're seeing some early signs here that Bitcoin dominance is starting to show weakness, and we're starting to see ETH versus Bitcoin and ETH itself show really attractive levels, good risk-reward ratio levels. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep it in the front of our mind for now. But back to the Dogecoin. Again, if we can get those ingredients for Dogecoin, we should come up and hit these levels by the end of the cycle, right? I mean, a minimum, you should come up to that 80, 85 to 88 level, right? And we haven't even come close. Like, look where we went. I mean, we made a move all the way from 9 cents to 48 cents, right? Think about that for a second. We went from 9 cents to 48 cents, and this is the move we got on the RSI on the monthly time frame. You know, think if you were to just basically double that, right? You'd get a move into, past $1. Really, you'd get a move up to $1, maybe a little higher, right? If you get up into these ranges, right? Potentially much higher, right? It just depends on um, the velocity of the move, really. So that looks good too. It's just another sign to show that we really haven't seen what's capable yet. I think maybe that should be the narrative of the video is we haven't seen what is capable yet out of the altcoin market cap, including Dogecoin, which I consider to be one of the main leaders of altcoin season itself too, because there's always been this thing like when retail comes piling back in, they're always piling back into Dogecoin, man. Like, it's just a common thing. You could go down the street and ask your neighbor, you can ask the guy you work with. They all know what Dogecoin is. It's one of the most popular cryptocurrencies there is next to Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, it might be the third most popular cryptocurrency on the planet. So usually when Dogecoin starts to perform really well, retail is kind of flooding back into the altcoin space. Now let's zoom in on some shorter time frames here also. In the short term, actually, you know what I want to do? I want to put those fibs back on. So what we'll do is we'll just backtrack here. There we go. So let's go down to the daily time frame and look at the short term, right? Because everyone's like, well, Kev, what about now? Like, what's going to happen now? So as you can see, and I was posting about this a lot. We were accumulating, I have my long-term positions, but the Patreon, we also have a trading portfolio. And we were accumulating a really nice position down at the macro 0.382 and these trend lines because we started to see that there was an accumulation range starting to form here. There was signs that total 3, the altcoins index, was bottoming them out at the macro golden pocket. And it was also signs that Bitcoin was getting ready to bottom out also. So we really accumulated a nice position here at 15 cents. So we're riding that up very nicely now. Congratulations if you're in that play. I think we're up maybe like 55, 60% on that right now. Awesome, right? Awesome. Still holding the long-term bags from way, way lower from back in the bear market around 6 cents. But yeah, we had this really nice inverse head and shoulders / accumulation range appear at major support, which a lot of the altcoins are, you'll see this pattern. It's extremely, you're seeing it all over the place, right? Chainlink has it, Ethereum Classic has it, Total 3 had it. Altcoins, this is what crypto does. Crypto forms distributions at the top, and it forms inverse head and shoulder accumulation patterns at its lows. It does it every time. It's so common. This is a very common thing. But in the short term, we bounced off that level, very nice, and now we've kind of just been consolidating in what looks to be maybe some type of bullish flag pattern with a price target of about 32 cents that I'm eyeing. However, we still have some big resistance up ahead, right? And I think the good news is we're kind of cooling off here in this range, getting ready to maybe push higher. We have the macro 6 golden pocket at 26 cents up to 28.5 cents, okay? So I need you guys to remember that. That 26 cents to 28.5 cents, and in between that at 27 cents is the macro golden pocket and the daily 200 SMA. Right, that's your simple moving average. So this area right here is a big resistance area, okay? Now, as you can see over here, we ripped right through it, but we didn't have the 200 SMA over there, and this was just, obviously the market was going crazy off of the election. So it's not to say we can't just bust right through that, but at the same time, we treat resistance as resistance until it is not resistance anymore, and we want to keep an eye on these levels, right? 26 cents to 28.5 cents will be a pretty big resistance level, right? I think obviously from a higher time frame perspective, 2-week time frame, the monthly time frame, what we kind of just looked at, we're building up the momentum to be able to easily surpass these levels, right? I think, in my honest opinion, if Bitcoin can sustain these levels, right? Remember, it's prefacing this all off of what Bitcoin can do. Bitcoin can sustain these levels, grind higher, right? My next price target is previous all-time highs, right? It has to be. There's just no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, not going to be looking at the 48-cent level. We're looking past that at this point, right? That will be like the main price target. Now, that's not to say, oh, well, that's it, it's the end. No, I'm just saying that's like my next major price target that I would see that would surpass the highs from January and where we should go next, right? I think a lot of altcoins that have performed well, will be testing those previous all-time highs at some point. If Bitcoin can sustain, if macro fundamentals can sustain, right? If the labor market remains okay, if inflation remains low, if we potentially have Fed easing down the line, right? We do need the ingredients for this to happen. It's not just, oh, the charts say it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's the difference between me and a lot of analysts. I don't just go off the charts. We correlate that to the actual world, what's actually happening out there, which is what we should all be doing. But short term, let's keep an eye on that 28.5 cent level. 200 SMA in between that at 27 cents and then 26 cents. So 26 cents in between 28.5. If we break that, the next resistance will be at 33 cents, which would be the measured move target of what I believe to be maybe this bullish flag pattern, right? You have your flagpole, you have your consolidation slightly lower, and now we're trying to break out of that, right? This is an easy pattern to read. Like, this is very simple stuff here, folks. This is not complicated, right? If we were to kind of go even lower here onto the 4-hour time frame, you can see, right? You have your beautiful inverse head and shoulders accumulation range. You break out of it. You form that flagpole. You form the flag, and now you're trying to break out of the flag, right? So far, the move's not that aggressive so far, and I think that's because altcoins are just not getting a lot of liquidity right now, guys. Bitcoin's getting all the liquidity. Bitcoin dominance is at 64%. I think that is going to potentially start to change, right? I really do. There are some serious signs out there showing that within the next month or two, that altcoins are going to really start picking up steam against Bitcoin. So maybe even sooner than that. But again, that's the level to watch in the short term. Some other higher time frame technical analysis that I'm seeing that's really got me feeling good is, I'll show you real quick, is one other thing. We'll go to the weekly. Look at this stuff this is just beautiful structure, right? I really love the structure on Dogecoin this cycle. It looks really, really good. Let's just remove the 100 EMA off here. Look how we've just come back and retested this, these 200 SMA and EMA on the weekly time frame. Let's delete this real quick. Look at that, right? You break out, right? You break out of the bear market range. You come back in. You retest the 200 EMA on the weekly. You break out again. You make a new high. You come back and make a higher low right here at the 200 SMA and EMA on the weekly, right? This is just really good structure, guys. This looks really good. To me, look real quick, right? Look at the move we had right here. Previous all-time highs is not that far away from where we were in January. My eyes are set on previous all-time highs in that 94, 95 cent level. I guess we could just call it the famous dollar level, right? That's what I'm looking at. Again, if Bitcoin can sustain, if the macro fundamentals stay good, I see no reason at this point that it would be a shocker to me at this point if we didn't get to those levels. Is it possible that we don't? Of course it's possible, guys. But I would personally be shocked at this point if the pathway remains laid for altcoins and Bitcoin to continue to perform well. I'd be shocked at this point if we don't go to that level and potentially even surpass those levels. So don't want to get you guys too crazy, right? We want to stay measured. We want to stay down to earth. We want to make sure that we track this properly so that we take profits properly. There's nothing worse than riding a move all the way up and not taking profits. I think a lot of influencers, a lot of analysts got people wrecked last cycle for not analyzing properly, I should say, or maybe not delivering their news properly. We will not make that mistake over here, right? We will do things the right way. 2-week time frame. Let's take a look. Love this, man. I really love this. Look at this. You got this. Look at this. This is just beautiful. Look at these momentum waves on the 2-week time frame. They just keep getting higher and higher and higher. And look at the money flow, right? And if you guys don't know what this indicator is, this is Market Cipher. Great indicator. Highly recommend it. You probably all know what it is if you're in crypto, and you have been for a while. But look at these momentum waves on the 2-week time frame. This is higher time frame stuff, guys. Money flow constantly making higher lows. Your momentum wave making higher lows, right? Your VWAP, which is the yellow wave here, crossing the zero line. Money flow starting to increase. This is what you want to see, guys. This is the type of stuff that a lot of people don't know how to read. Even if they have this indicator, they don't know how to read it properly. I'm telling you, this is what you want to see, man. This is it. This is big time stuff. You know, this has been forming since July of 2022. This didn't happen over the last 3 weeks, all right? This has been going on for the last 3 years. All right, so this is a big deal, right? This may look confusing to you, but look at the orange circles and just put 2 and 2 together. That is a big deal. So momentum is increasing, right? It goes with the higher lows in the chart. Higher low, your low, higher low, higher low, another higher low. You're seeing this momentum is compressing and building to a point where it's like, okay, now it's time to release it, right? So really good looking stuff here. Along with that, look at that. 2-week stock RSI, guys. Love it, right? It's a great indicator for crypto. I don't know about, it's maybe not be the greatest for other asset classes, but for crypto, it's one of the best indicators. It's free, it's easy. If you know how to read it properly, I highly suggest you use it, especially on higher time frames. But look, 2-week stock RSI cross. Here, let's just minimize these real quick. Let's just make it a little easier to see for you on the computer screen. Look at this, right? Let's turn this off for a second. All right, here we go. 2-week stock RSI cross, bang, big move higher. 2-week stock RSI cross, bang, big move higher. 2-week stock RSI cross. What's coming next, folks? What's coming next? Boom, big move higher, highly likely, right? As long as Bitcoin sustains, as long as everything stays peachy, we should be looking at a bigger move higher, right? This may be the bigger move. This is the post-halving year move that we're looking for, right? This is the post-halving year move that we're hoping that ETH versus Bitcoin bottoms out, which it looks like it's doing. ETH USD on the monthly time frame looks insanely bullish. Bitcoin dominance starting to show weakness. These are the ingredients. The macro's looking really good right now, right? It's looking good. We've had lower inflation numbers for 5 straight months, right? The labor market's still strong. GDP expectations are looking good. The Fed's on neutral, but that's okay. It's not a big deal, right? It's okay for the Fed to be on neutral as long as things are still looking good, right? Again, look at that. You see it for yourself, right? You can see it for yourself. Ever since this cycle began, when you get these 2-week stock RSI crosses, you get bigger moves higher, okay? Actually, it looks like we're getting a move higher right now. So look at that. Maybe the stream, not the stream, but maybe the videos. Good luck. But I don't really know what else to go over beyond that, guys. I think we went over the short term. We went over the monthly time frame. We went over the things I'm looking at on the 2-week time frame. We went over the weekly time frame, right? We went over these things that I'm looking at. Something like, again, look at these beautiful momentum waves higher. I'm expecting higher moves, guys, straight up. And again, I'll preface it one last time by saying this. As long as Bitcoin can sustain these levels and grind higher, I think the best is yet to come. Okay? I really believe that. I mean, it's not rocket science, okay? It is what it is. That's the way it's going to be. So we'll continue to track it closely. We'll continue to keep a level head. We won't throw out these ridiculous price targets like some other people. We're not going to get people hurt over here. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to make money, right? We're going to get in, we're going to get out, and we're going to stay clean doing it, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this content. If you guys have any questions, you could always message me on the YouTube video. You could always join the Patreon. Also, the value in there, you obviously know, is immense, right? The link will be in the description below. I highly recommend you check it out. And you guys have a great night, man. All right? Take it easy. Peace.